Hello friends, welcome back to Garden Obsessed. My name is Carla. Today, it's actually July 31st, but just like last year, we've decided to go away during the first week of August, which is also the first week of the Every Bit Counts challenge. Last year was my first year participating. I thought it was super fun, I loved it. So I thought I would start a little bit early because there's gonna be a few days that I'm gonna miss. So this morning, I will show you what we have going on and tell you some of my plans. So first thing we were gonna do today, it is 8:15. We are going to get some potatoes baking for some twice baked potatoes. These are not my potatoes, but these are freaking amazing. These are big russets that I got locally, so I'm gonna use them. And we're gonna get these put up in the freezer for nice, easy sides later this year. So the other thing that I have to get done this morning is get some herbs in the dehydrator. This is some parsley that I picked a couple days ago. There might be some more out there, depending on how full the trays are. I might go looking for some other stuff. And the other thing I want to maybe get to today, I'm gonna go take some hamburger out of the freezer now, and we might make some egg rolls later because we have some cabbage fresh from the garden that I grew. It's awesome. And I wanna make sure it gets used at its freshest and best and put away for us to eat as meals later on. So I'm gonna get these potatoes oiled up here, and then hopefully the oven will be preheated. They'll take about an hour to cook, and then I'll meet you back here. Also, does anyone else have a basket like this in their kitchen this time of year? This is all the random goodies. There's a stray cherry tomato. These are all the split or mini or ugly garlics that, you know what we do with those if you watched last year's video. But if you didn't see it, we'll probably get to it soon. I've got some random peppers, some early new potatoes, even some ground cherries are starting. I have never had ground cherries in July before. These are the first ones. So yeah, and I've been picking some of the cherry tomatoes as soon as they start to blush, just because I'm excited to get them in the house and have them in here. So there's some ripe ones underneath. Do you guys have a basket like this? I love this time of year. I'm just kind of tidying up what is in the kitchen here, and this is all that's left of last year's garlic. This is not a lot when you consider we had around, I think last year we grew around 180 heads. We were right around the same this year. I think we were closer to 200. Some of them are sprouting, but a lot of these are still firm. Like, that's still firm, that's still good. And you know, people say hardneck doesn't store well. Well, I beg to differ. So for me, and kind of how I think about the Every Bit Counts challenge, I think seed saving counts too. So these are some of the peas that we have grown this year. I'm letting as many pods dry on the vines as possible, and I will be putting seeds up and putting seeds away, maybe for planting, you know, this week for fall harvest, and maybe for next year's harvest, who knows, but every little bit counts, guys. All right, it's 10 a.m. We've got 4 out of 5 trays filled, so at some point today I may go and see if I can find enough herbs to fill up that last tray. Our potatoes are cooling. I left them in the oven a little longer than an hour just because they're so big. They were probably in there with the oven on for 70 minutes, and then I just turned the heat off and left them in there for another 15 or 20 minutes. I'm just waiting for them to be cool enough to handle now, not yet. And then we will proceed. There is a wild patch of blackberries that grows between my brother and I. Most of them are still unripe, as you can see here, but there are a couple of canes that are starting to ripen. So I wanted to get these picked before the birds get them and before they fall off. They tend to fall off of the canes when they're super ripe. And this will be the start of our blackberry harvest. There will be lots more to come, and we'll just keep picking. Every day when we're out, we'll get a little handful, and I think that's kind of the theme of this challenge, right? Just every little bit, and it adds up in the end. All right, we got a very small amount, and I do mean a small amount of blackberries, but these are the very first ones, and we'll be harvesting these over the next 2 weeks probably as they ripen. These were just some of the very first early canes, and there's lots more to come. So I'm gonna stick these in the freezer and we will get a bag started for frozen blackberries. All right guys, we're picking away here. I've got one tray stuffed. All I did for the filling is I basically make mashed potatoes. You can add whatever you want to the mashed potatoes. I whipped them in my mixer with a little bit of butter, a little bit of cream. I added a couple tablespoons of, or not a couple tablespoons, a couple spoonfuls of sour cream. I grated some cheese, probably about a cup of cheddar. I added some parsley, some garlic powder, and we had some leftover real bacon bits, and I threw those in. Salt and pepper, and that was everything. They're in this big bowl, and I'm just spoon filling the shells. I only ripped a couple, which is not bad for me. Sometimes I get a little impatient. I think the key is leaving a little bit of potato around the edges. Don't try to scrape down to the skins, and you're usually okay. So before I wrap these, I like to wrap them in aluminum foil. That way, when we take them out of the freezer, they can go directly into the fridge, no thawing necessary. These are my favorite kinds of like freezer type meals. Ones that you don't need to think ahead or plan or whatever. On nights we're just like, what are we gonna have for dinner? You know, Jarrett could be like, I'll barbecue some steak or some chicken, and we'll throw a couple of potatoes in the oven and we're good to go. So before I wrap them though, I do like to freeze them. That way the mashed potato doesn't stick to the foil. So I'll stick this whole tray in for a couple hours. It doesn't have to be solid through. It just has to be frozen enough on the top that they're not going to stick. So this pan's going in the freezer, and I'm going to keep working on this one. Guys, it's the next day. It's August 1st. I know you're going to be surprised, but I got distracted and I didn't finish the egg rolls last night. So we're going away in the morning. You know, I had to do my vacation nails and some laundry and pack and stuff. So we're going to have some of these for supper tonight, and the rest are going to be going in the freezer. This is my cabbage that I shredded up. It was about 1.5 pounds, and I shredded a carrot in there too. I might not need quite all of this. This is 1 pound of hamburger that I'm frying up now. For seasonings, basically all I will add is a little bit of salt and pepper and some curry powder. And then I will mix up a little slurry of 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and a couple tablespoons of water, and we'll add that to the cabbage. I'll add back the cooked meat, and that's what we're gonna stuff our egg rolls with. All right, dishwasher's going. We've been watching the Olympics all day. These are the egg roll wrappers that I will be using. These are my favorite ones. I like them a lot better than the ones in the box that are in the freezer. These are refrigerated, they're not frozen. And this is what our mixture looks like, all nice and done. I did end up using all the cabbage. There might be like slightly less meat to cabbage ratio than normal, but it'll still tastes delicious. When you're wrapping your egg roll wrappers, a lot of times they say to use a water and cornstarch mixture to seal the edges. There is already cornstarch on these wrappers, so I find just a little bit of water around the edges and they seal just fine. Okay, I'm going to try to do this one-handed. This is what they look like when they're all done. But I just dip my finger in the water. I go along 3 of the edges. And then you're just going to kind of fold it like an envelope. And make sure you push on the edges. The kids totally help me do this, so it's not too difficult. Then you can kind of stuff your stuffings in there, and then you fold this flap over. Make sure you kind of pat it down in the middle and push down on your edges. This is a lot smoother with 2 hands, guys. But that's basically it. Then I'm gonna set these aside. I'm gonna set them upside down so that they're resting on the seam, and the pressure of the egg roll will kind of help reinforce it. And then once I get them all done, excuse me. Once I get them all done, then we will fry them. Little tip too, I like to keep the wrappers under a damp piece of paper towel because they dry out pretty quick, and then it's really difficult to wrap them. They'll end up cracking. Just a tip. Here they are laid out. We ended up with 32. Next, I fry them up, wrap them in paper, and freeze them for later. Good morning. It's 5:30 a.m. I woke up a couple hours ago. Couldn't go back to sleep. Lola's right there on the couch with me. So guess what that little angel did yesterday? We went to the store. I was planning to make some pesto as part of this video. Every bit counts. And I had needed some nuts. So we bought a package of walnuts, about 150 grams. They were sitting on the counter. We came home, empty container on the floor. She ate all of the nuts. She weighs between 50 and 60 pounds, so I felt like that was a lot of nuts. I called the vet. So, important information if your dog ever eats walnuts. The nuts themselves are not toxic, but apparently there's mold and spores and things on nuts that can be toxic to them. So, the suggestion was obviously watch over the next few days, make sure, she's not lethargic, not vomiting, signs that something's not right. But where it had not much time had passed, they also suggested making her throw up. So for her size, that means a shot of hydrogen peroxide. So we did that. She threw up the nuts. She seems fine now. But that means I can't make pesto today. I don't think I have any more. I'm going to search through the cupboards. Maybe we'll find some. But in the meantime, it's 5:30 and I'm kind of bored. I'm awake. I'm not going back to sleep. But I also picked a couple pounds of jalapenos from the community garden the other day. And I might just get those sliced. So later when I feel like making the cowboy candy, we're going to make cowboy candy out of them if I didn't say that. Later when I get that far, you know, that step's already done. I don't know, what else are you gonna do at 5:30 in the morning when you can't sleep? All right, we're getting our cowboy candy done. So there's all my sliced jalapenos. This is about 2 pounds. I think it's a little over. So I've doubled the recipe because it's for 1 pound. So I have 2 cups of sugar, 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of ginger, and 2 teaspoons of chili powder. And this is going to be our sauce. So I'm just gonna put this on like a fairly high heat to bring it to a boil quickly. I've got my water bath canner set up and ready to go here. And I'm just gonna, before I turn this on, I'm gonna finish washing up my jars so they are ready to go, and then we'll get this knocked out. Okay, I brought this to a boil, so I'm gonna reduce the heat now and cook it for a few minutes until it starts to look syrupy. Okay, jalapenos are going in, and I'll cook those for 3 to 4 minutes. They'll darken up, and then we'll be ready to jar them. And here we are, 5 half pints out of the canner. All right, guys, that's it for week 1 of Every Bit Counts. I think we did okay, especially since we were away for most of the week. What did we end up with? We have, these are our twice baked potatoes. We ended up with, I have a little cheat sheet here, 26 servings, so that's 26 half potatoes, and they were like huge monsters. These are our egg rolls. We have eaten a few, but we did have 32 to start with. We've got 1.5 quarts of our blackberries. I have been drying herbs, so this will continue throughout the whole challenge, I'm sure. This is parsley, and we have just a little bit of oregano. I have more in the dryer right there. We managed to get 2 pounds of jalapenos processed into cowboy candy. That gave us 5 half pints, and we even did some seed saving. So I have 2 different types of peas here. There are more out there on the vines. I'm just waiting for the pods and the seeds to mature and dry out. And that's everything I had on my list for this video. So I hope you come back for weeks 2, 3, and 4, and hopefully we'll find some fun stuff to do with zucchini, because holy moly, we're swimming in zucchini. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Also, dahlias for attention. Watch for a video soon on some of my early blooming varieties. Super stoked this year.